Here is my journal article summary. The 3 research articles I chose are all original research building on previous studies on the effect of redundancy and modality on multimedia learning. The first article I reviewed was called Combining Best Practice and Experimental Approaches, Redundancy, Images, and Misperceptions in Multimedia Learning. This study used a controlled experimental design and a best practice approach to highlight how text and images in multimedia design affect actual understanding and the perceived effect they have on interest, difficulty, and engagement. This study was conducted by taking 99 psychology students and administering a current psychology module to them in 3 different formats. One was audio only. The second, the redundant group, had audio and verbatim text and a video of the narrator. The third group, the complementary multimodality group, had audio, only relevant text, and a video of the narrator. They took a knowledge post-test and they did a perception measures questionnaire. The result of the post-test showed that there was no difference in actual understanding between the audio and the redundant groups. The complementary group, however, did demonstrate greater actual understanding than the other two. This result actually varied from other studies in the past that showed redundant text decreased knowledge acquisition. Perceived understanding did not follow the same pattern as did the actual understanding, with the students in the redundant group overestimating knowledge acquisition. Therefore, the redundant text did not negatively impact actual understanding compared with audio. It did foster a false perceived understanding. All 3 groups found the lecture material equally interesting and difficult. So the quality of the lecture material was not affected by the type of multimedia presentation the students took part in. However, this was not true for engagement. The complementary group found the material most engaging, followed by the redundant group and the audio group. The second article I reviewed was the effects of redundancy and modality on the situational interest of adult learners in multimedia learning. The authors presented 3 questions. They asked what were the effects of the design principles of modality and redundancy on triggering situational interest, what were the effects of modality and redundancy on maintaining situational interest, and how do the design effects on situational interest affect learner outcomes. To complete this study, the authors took 102 individuals and divided them into 3 groups, completing modules that either had animation and narration with no text, animation and text with no narration, animation, narration, and minimal text. They took a situational interest survey, and they did a 5-question knowledge pre- and post-test. So the results looking at situational interest triggered showed that the animation text group, followed by the animation narration text group and the animation narration group, were most interested. The author posits that when starting out studying or a learning module, having the text read to you decreases interest compared to reading on your own. The results were different for situational interest maintained, with the animation narration text group maintaining interest significantly over the animation narration group. There was no real statistical significance between the third. The author posits that to maintain interest using all 3 methods of animation, narration, and text worked better than just the animation and narration. At the end of the study, there was insufficient evidence to evaluate the research question related to learner achievement as related to situational interest. There were several things that affected this. One is the way the students could take the test. They were able to start and stop as often as they wanted. Some of them didn't finish the test over a couple-week period of time. Also, there were only 5 test questions. Hard to determine how situational interest is maintained when they're starting and stopping a test. Also, are they re-triggering interest every time they start the test? So the author feels that this is an opportunity for further research into whether situational interest can affect learner achievement. The last article I reviewed was the effects of modality and pace on achievement, mental effort, and positive effect in multimedia learning. In this study, 97 freshman students were given an academic test, cognitive load test, and a 20-point positive affect scale test before and after taking part in the learning module. They were randomly assigned to one of the 4 modules as outlined here to determine if written text and animation, narration and animation, along with whether these modalities are learner-paced or system-paced, affected these variables of knowledge acquisition, cognitive load, and positive affect. The findings of the study did not reveal any significant difference between the academic achievement of the groups. The modality principle in the learner-paced group was confirmed as far as cognitive load is concerned, and positive affect, the narration and animation and learner-paced group showed highest positive affect of the students conducting the test. I plan to use the results of the journal articles I reviewed and also the learning principles that they discussed in those articles to help me in creation of the education modules for the nurses in the James. This really let me know how much I don't know about creation of these modules and got me excited to learn a whole lot more to do a better job in my current role.